Good evening and welcome to EDCO PubTalk. It is so great to see you all tonight. The first one of the new year. Welcome to January. It's January 84th, 2024. We're doing great. My name is Shannon Kelly, and I'm so happy to be here with you tonight. Big thanks to Worthy Brewing for hosting us again this month. They do such a great job. And big thanks to Hand in Hand Productions, of course, for the multi-room stream. Fantastic as always. So I'm here with you hosting tonight for PubTalk, thanks to MC sponsor OSU-Cascades. And this is really fun. Chancellor Sherm Bloomer is actually here, so come on down, Chancellor Sherm.
You didn't tell me I was the opening act. That's really tough. So it's a real pleasure to be here. Nice to see you all tonight. It's a pleasure for us because we've had a 15-year partnership with EDCO, and they've been a really important part of our work trying to build out a campus in Central Oregon. We're a proud sponsor of this event, of the luncheon next week, and a platinum member for EDCO because they have been such an important supporter of what we're trying to do. A lot going on the campus in Central Oregon. If you haven't been over by the site, over there, come by. It's changing every single day. We're in the middle of building out a new set of academic programs. Mechanical engineering is supposed to come online in the fall. Where part of building those programs out is hiring faculty that are going to do research, work in the community, be partners with business and industry, and we're going to come out to all of the community and talk about that academic program plan once we have it in draft form. Where if you come on campus, you'll see that we are digging up a significant portion of what used to be a construction landfill. Most of you know the story, but it's a really substantial undertaking. That is going to be the piece of the property that is the first section of the Innovation District, public-private partnership that we're going to build to bring the business community right to the edge of campus. We're also working with EDCO, the Chamber, COCC, lots of partners in town to try to bring an innovation hub grant from the state. Here, that's going to close in the next 3 weeks. A lot of people working really hard on that. In a couple months, if things go well, we're going to break ground on a new child care on the west side of campus, probably 72 new slots. So there is a lot happening there. And one of the things you'll hear about that's happening when Todd, Laurence, and James Nicol talk a little bit later about the SnoPlanks thing. Took this job and found that I'm in the child care business, I'm in the snowboard business. It's a really interesting job. One of the things, though, that I would ask is the only reason we're here and the only reason we've succeeded is community support. And we have a big ask this coming up. We are going to ask the legislature for $24 million in short session to continue on the remediation of the landfill and do the next 24 acres. If we can do that, we're going to have an 81-acre contiguous campus that we can actually build on for a decade. So that is in front of the legislature. I know EDCO's been a great partner in that. We're going to ask people in the community to advocate for that so we can keep building the campus that Central Oregon needs. Thank you all so much for the invitation. And John, thanks for all the work that you and your team does with EDCO.
Thanks, Sherm. That's a great update. Way to go on the Child Care Center. Such a huge need for that. So another really fun thing about tonight's program is that I get to bring back one of my very favorite sponsors. Welcome to the stage, Julianne Horner from Providence Health Plan. Get on up here.
It is so nice to be back. We from Providence Health Plan want to thank you as a community and the people here at EDCO. You do amazing work, and we get to support you. We support the community through the chamber, through the health plan there, as well as the entire state. So we just want to thank you for all that you do and the growing and all that you bring into Central Oregon, and we love being a part of it. So thanks.
Thanks, Julianne. All right, next up is Jordan from VLOX Systems. Jordan, what do you got for us? Always look forward to what you have to share. You're wearing a baseball cap. What does it mean?
No pressure. Hey, yeah, I'm Jordan Smith. Good to see you guys all here. This is a fantastic crowd. I feel like Ben Venture Conference is next month, but that's not the case. It's not. Don't go there. But anyway, no, it's great to see you guys all. Fantastic. Thank you to EDCO. Emily's just knocking out of the park with these events, so that's happening. really well. So I'm with VLOX Systems. We do IT services. So one of the things that we do and like to do is help companies grow in partnership, of course, with EDCO. That's why we love EDCO and why we're at all of EDCO's events. We like to see companies grow. So we just recently took a company that started in November and grew to like 100 people this month and built the IT system that kind of supported that rapid scale up. And they're nationwide, so they don't even have an office. They're all remote users, remote folks that they're finding and hiring to provide some healthcare needs throughout the country in an IT system that's like compliant and secured for that charting data. So it's really fun to do things like that. We had a couple of local companies here that we have provided services for a number of years grow to a place where they got acquired. Some have made the news, so super excited for those guys as well. So if you're in a place with your business and you're looking to grow and scale up, we might be able to help you do that because we've done it before a few times. So good to see you guys all. Happy to be here. Get back to you.
Thanks, Jordan. It's always so good to hear from you. Although I do think you might have given the EDCO team a heart attack with that BBC comment. We'll hope to recover from that. All right, next up, Emma from Roselle Wealth Management. Emma, how are you? Where are you? Come on. Oh, there you are. I can see you. You are bright.
Hey, I always admire Jordan because he comes up here all casual with a drink in hand, and I have my notes. So, I'm Emma James. I'm a financial advisor with Roselle Wealth Management. We're located here in Bend, and we've been helping our clients live the lives they've always imagined for themselves in retirement for over 25 years now. And we're honored to be part of the EDCO community this year. Hopefully, my face is looking a little bit more familiar than the last few sessions. So it's good to see you all. One of the things that we really love to do is support business owners as they prepare to sell their businesses. Out of curiosity, is anybody here a business owner looking to sell their company in the next 3 years? We're taking notes. Oh, there's a hand back there. Perfect. One of the things that we can do for businesses who are looking to sell their businesses is pretty unique. We're able to look at the life insurance that they have. I know you weren't expecting life insurance. We look at the life insurance that they have already existing, like a key person life insurance policy, and we're able to let them know if it's going to be a tangible asset as they transition out of their company. We find that most business owners just let their policies lapse and don't ever see any value out of what they've been paying into over the years. And they don't understand that their policy could be sold for a significant amount of money. About 90% of life insurance policies never pay a death benefit ever, and our mission is to educate people more about the options that they have available to them, not just surrendering their life insurance policy, so that we can have more wins for the individual and less wins for the insurance company. We're so passionate about that topic that we wrote a book about it. You probably saw it as you came in. It was written by David Roselle, who's the founder of our company, and also Rodney Cook. They're over here if you want to come say hi. We'd love to connect with you and come bother us.
Thanks, Emma. It's a great update. I love that you guys always help us think of the things we might not think of. It's very helpful. Okay, next up, Kurt Barker with Best, and Krieger. Kurt, bring it on home. Yeah.
Hey everybody, happy 24. It's great seeing you. I should probably go on about BBK. We've been sponsoring PubTalk for 12 years. I should probably go on about all we can do for your business, but I really just want to hear from SnoPlanks and all the other awesome freaking lineup. Thank you, EDCO. Thank you. I'll just quickly note, I am an employment attorney, so I solve and prevent employee problems for our business clients. That can mean everything from mental health accommodations, harassment claims, and all that other stuff that you don't want to hear about right now. So I'm just going to do a giveaway. This is the part where I have a little prize in my pocket. The first person to email me, the address is up there for a reason. I'll pick the winner after maybe the next speaker. But I asked our marketing department for Taylor Swift tickets, and after they were done laughing, I got $100 to Worthy. So, yeah, just as good. There you go. Email me, I don't know, your favorite Taylor song, your favorite IPA. I don't care. Whoever's first, I'll give this to you later. Thanks.
Just as good. Just as good. Thanks, Kurt. Thanks to our amazing PubTalk title sponsors. They make these events a reality, and they're awesome events. So thanks, thanks, thanks. All right, next up, we're going to bring John Stark, CEO of EDCO, for a Director's Minute. Can't wait. John, where is your theme song, John? And what would it be if we were playing it?
I don't know what it would be. Maybe Eye of the Tiger?
I couldn't agree more.
Why
Yeah,
not?
absolutely.
All right, we got to start with this, though. What's up, PubTalk Nation? For those of you that haven't been here before, we do that every time. So glad everybody's out tonight. Gosh, I don't know how to follow Kurt. He's giving away beer tonight. Really a tough act to follow, for sure. Glad everybody made it out tonight. A tremendous crowd. We got a great lineup for you tonight. A bunch of outdoor companies, successful ones, some startup ones. We're super excited to have this venue for you tonight to be part of this. And again, the theme is outdoor products. How many of you knew that outdoor products, GDP, their portion of it, in Oregon was 4% of the economy? So BEA, Bureau of Economic Analysis, in 2022 did a study, $7.5 billion here in Oregon, 4% of the U.S., of the Oregon economy, and 75,000 jobs. So the outdoor economy is alive, robust, and there's lots of companies and founders that are in the room tonight that are part of that industry looking to stake out their part of that. So what's going on with EDCO? Well, Sherm was here mentioning that the legislative session's coming up. We're gearing up for that too. And yes, you have our support for the $24 million ask. That's a really important next step for OSU. We're super excited to advocate for that, both with letters of support and testimony. So we're looking forward to that. Two other key tenets for us going into the legislative session this year. One is industrial site readiness. So we've got a lot of land in Central Oregon, and it needs infrastructure. And so we're going to be supporting what's called the Regionally Significant Industrial Sites Program that allows cities to sort of put a bank in place so that they can make investments and then get repaid when jobs are created on that industrial property. So we're super excited to get the sunset for that program extended and to find some money in the state legislature in order to fund those communities and their investments. And then finally, we're working on some incentives. One of the legislators is working on new incentive programs, similar but not as robust as what we did for semiconductor, to support clean tech industry. So we're looking at what that might look like, what the sort of operatives are within the incentive. It's a fund for companies in clean tech to expand here in the region. We've seen sort of a straw man effort for that. We're hoping to broaden the definition of clean tech so it'll support more Central Oregon companies. So that's really what's on our plate right now. Again, let's get back to our program. So excited to be here tonight. Great turnout tonight. Thanks for everybody for coming.
Thanks, John. Great update. I think you've been practicing that What's Up PubTalk Nation business. You really brought it home this time. Now you do it. You got to do
Ashley
it.
Chase from the Northwest Collective, are you here?
Yay! And that was quite the celebration stance. I like that a lot. All right, you guys, we really do have a fabulous lineup for you tonight. And up first is Tyson Perkins. So Tyson is just going to give us a quick update on what is happening locally with Oregon Outdoor Alliance. He is the operations director of OOA. Tyson, way to be right up at the stage on time.
Thank you guys so much. Give yourselves a big round of applause for being here. Oh my gosh. There's a stacked panel of speakers tonight, and you guys are going to be thrilled to hear from them. Thank you for EDCO for inviting us. I'm so excited to be here. Just a quick update for you guys. I'm Tyson from the Oregon Outdoor Alliance, and our mission is to connect and cultivate the brands and industries here in Oregon. And one of the big ways we do that is through our Beer 30 monthly networking events. You'll see up here, I have this QR code. If you have a moment, please scan it and get registered for our networking event. It is the spot to hear from all of the industry leaders here in Central Oregon and throughout Oregon when they travel over here. So I see so many familiar faces here that I see at every monthly Beer 30 event. Go ahead and raise your hand if you're a board member of OOA or a member of OOA. Look at that. Awesome. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much for all the support. And if anyone has any questions about the Oregon Outdoor Alliance membership or our Beer 30 events, please come talk to me or any of the board members you saw around. These events happen on every second Thursday of the month at Embark, right next to Roughwear. Our next one is going to be February 8th. Goes from 5:30 to 7:30, and I'd love to see you guys there. So get excited. This is going to be an excellent panel tonight. And right back to EDCO.
Thanks, Tyson. Thanks for being here, and I want to talk to you about your boots after the program. I need help in the boots department. All right, our pitches are sponsored by TDS, a proud supporter of EDCO and PubTalk events, and values being a part of the Central Oregon business community. TDS offers high-speed internet, phone, and TV, providing connectivity and integrating all your favorite streaming video services for both home and business. Since TDS acquired Ben Broadband 10 years ago, roughly $100 million in infrastructure investments have been made across Central Oregon, future-proofing connectivity needs, as well as ensuring the most advanced technology network continues to expand through new business and residential construction. They are keeping up with our rapidly growing community and its technology demands. As a pillar of TDS's core values over the same 10 years, TDS has given back nearly $1 million to charitable partners such as the Giving Plate, Boys and Girls Club, the Humane Society, Family Access Network, Sleep in Heavenly Peace, Latino Community Association, and several other great charitable organizations providing local impact. Please go to hellotds.com for further details. And, of course, Umpqua Bank. Umpqua Bank is a proud sponsor of the EDCO PubTalk series. At Umpqua Bank, our local bankers proudly serve our community by providing the expertise to help build and maintain meaningful relationships. Umpqua Bank, together for better. We are thrilled to invite to the PubTalk stage Ann and Ryan Price, founders of Broke Supply Company. Ann and Ryan Price founded Broke Supply Company in 2022 after noticing a white space in the equine market that was lacking function, quality, and vibe. The duo pooled their resources and experiences to make the best horse and rider gear on earth. Broke Supply Company designs and manufactures premium saddlebags and accessories that they personally test in their own backyard. Welcome to the stage, you two. Get on up here.
Can we stand here? This could be dangerous. No, that was good. She just pitched for us. I like it. Yeah. You have to breathe. This is tacky. I'm going to spit my gum out. Sorry. If I don't, there's a possibility I will drool. So let me just get rid of that real quick, or I'll start chewing and it'll be really tacky.
Good icebreaker.
Yeah, thank you. So we are, I'm Annie. This is my husband, Ryan, and we are the founders of Broke Supply. Which is basically a premium horse brand that makes saddlebags specifically, but we also make all kinds of equine products as well. So it doesn't just go specifically to saddlebags, it goes all across. And my husband Ryan here has been an industrial designer in the industry for 20 plus years, specializing in tactical, outdoor, surf, skate, all kinds of tactical stuff. Well, not all tactical, it's outdoors. And then I have been a horse lover since I was a child. So together we kind of brought Broke together. And we have an awesome team. We work with Algify, which is a local company for marketing, and they're amazing. We have 2 operators that help us kind of mentor us at the moment, and hopefully they'll join us if we continue to crush. And then we have some local mentors as well that have helped us. We have an amazing photographer who helps us, Sky. He's here tonight. We've had some...
And Brittany.
And Brittany has helped us. She's out there as well. There she is right there. And then we have an awesome factory as well that Ryan and I both have a very personal relationship with. He just spent 5 days with Richard in Vegas. So,
I barely made it back here on time.
yeah, he just actually got back a couple hours ago. So you know we've rehearsed this. Just kidding. So I'm going to tell a story. And I know you're like, heard it if you were at the BOW event, but it's a different story. This is the origin story. So anyway, okay, get ready, get a little nervous. So basically the whole reason we decided to come up with saddlebags is I was on a ride in the Badlands here. And I need to set the stage for you. So I was riding, here's the first broke word, a green broke horse, which was my youngest horse. And we're in the parking lot. She's a beautiful little buckskin Tennessee Walker. And I have these saddlebags that I bought that I was like, oh, these are sweet. Like, these are the best in the industry. And I set them on her. I get her all, styled up. And this is a rookie move, but I had not tested the bags on her yet. And Ryan had given me this awesome, dangerous water bottle, which you fill up, and it's basically like a bladder. So if you squeeze it, the water just shoots out. So I have my horse. We're in the parking lot. I got her all saddled up with this saddle right here, and I put these super boxy saddlebags on her. And it's literally like carrying just 2 cardboard boxes on the side of the horn. So as I go to get on her, and again, she's not super broke. So I swing that leg up over the saddle. I want you to have an image in your mind because it was beautiful at the moment. And as my leg comes down, there was a mesh pocket on the outside, which I placed this water bottle in. And as my leg comes down this thigh, there's a lot of surface area, crushed that mesh saddle, that little mesh bottle, which proceeded to launch water at her face. So it hit her directly in the face, and she's not super broke. So she's being sprayed, and you think like it's real graceful, but it's not. It happened real fast. So I go to sit down, hit the water bottle, it shoots her in the face. She is a fight or flight animal. Stella's a fighter. Instantly goes into bucking. So we are bucking in the parking lot, and Stella has this amazing ability to do like a 360 in the air. And you have to think of like professional bronc riders. Like in my mind, I was like full-on bronc bucking. But in reality, folks, I was not. It's more of what we call crow hop, where she's got her head down a little bit and we're like hopping in a circle. But it's intense. If you don't ride that, it's intense. And my, bronc riders, their whole goal is to bronc. And my whole goal is to never buck. So I'm freaking out, trying to hold on. In my mind, it's very like awesome, looks like Yellowstone. In reality, it was like a shit show. Like, I promised I wasn't gonna cuss, but it's a little one. So like, I'm like trying to hold her, and we're going round and round, and my thigh is squeezing tighter, and the water is just nailing her in the face. And I'm like, holy cow. So finally, all the water is out of the bottle, and she brings it down a notch. And I feel like I've won a belt buckle, because I'm like, well, did you see that, baby? I stayed on. Like, and in reality, like, people would be like, you maybe took like that much air, but we were spinning too, so there was a lot happening. And then all of a sudden, this became Ryan's problem, because Ryan's horse is just standing there, and she's broke solid, another broke term, and he's looking at me, and I'm like, this piece of crap saddlebag is why this happened. Like, not my training skills, but I'm like, you don't plan for that. You don't spray your horse usually with water when you're riding. So that was a new one for me. I mean, you try everything. You got tarps and all that other stuff. But so anyway, this became Ryan's problem, because I was like, look, like, I almost got launched, but I didn't. And did you see that, by the way? Like, we crushed it. And Stella's now calm. And I was like, we can do better. Like, I'm literally married to an industrial designer who makes bags. And there's all kinds of products that I would love to have in the equine world. So I then reached out to Ryan, and this was the launch of Broke. And there's also a second part to it, which is, I call it equianthropy, which is not a word. I made it up. And I love it. I feel like it's just really appropriate. It's like philanthropy, but better. And it is the equine side of that, which we'll talk about later. But we're going to talk about product now. And we've been married like a really long time. And we've known each other since the 3rd grade. So if I cut him off, it's because he loves to talk about product, and we are being timed.
It's very likely that'll happen.
Yeah. So he's going to get real excited here and talk a lot about product. And then we'll come back to the equianthropy, and yeah, we'll finish there. So go ahead. Here you go.
I think it's obvious who's the soul and the personality of the company. So, basically, the equine world is very interesting. It's an antiquated, very traditional, slow-moving market, which isn't bad, but it's sort of an exciting place to come into if you have some newness to bring in.
Microphone up.
Bring it up a little more?
Here you go.
I'll get louder.
There you go. Yeah, I like that.
So, traditionally, there was like a range of the mass-produced product, which is very sort of low-end. Got the shakes, sorry. Low-end mass-produced product that was a cheap quality, made at sort of questionable factories, poor materials, et cetera, et cetera. That's the bulk of the business. And then up above that is like the boutique, small, mom and pop shops, which is great, but they do custom work, leather work, et cetera, things like that. But it's not on the mass scale.
Talking to your microphone.
What was it?
Talking to your microphone.
I'm talking.
Here you go. Yeah. You're doing
So
good.
basically, you have this range down here, the mass-produced stuff, and then up above you have the boutique custom stuff. There's a massive gap in the middle, and sort of where we want to play is basically premium, super technical, functional product that's really well made, has a lifetime warranty that we stand by. And we launched it about 1.5 years ago, and it's with the thanks to a bunch of local mentors, BAL, friends, advisors. It's going really well. So the solution, broke is disruptive. A couple things. Hopefully, I don't go on too long here, but
I'll get you.
you'll get me. The main thing is, like Annie said, we've known each other since the 3rd grade. Been married 21 years. Had horses that whole time, even though we couldn't afford them, still can't. We've been talking about doing this for a while and finally did it. So, secondly, it's a mutual hobby. We go out and ride together all summer. We're more fair
the
weather
product.
riders, yes.
Yep.
Thirdly, we just recently decided to make this a woman-owned company. So Annie's the boss. I work for her.
Annie is no fool. Yeah. It's like, I'm going to need that 100%.
Yeah. And I'm super proud of her.
You leave me for a 20-year-old, you got problems. Yeah. I will screw you over.
So she's kicking ass. I'm complimenting you and you're threatening me.
True. Yeah.
Just a little bit about, so in addition to that, we've been teaming up on this, and it's been going really well, and I think it's going to be really exciting. I've been designing bags and products for close to 25 years with a bunch of globally recognized brands. Been really fortunate to work with some crazy talented people and learn from all these people. In addition to that, work in different markets like tactical. I keep saying that first. That's like the
Very
least
into
one.
tactical. Not really, but
The surf, snow, outdoor industry. It's got a different personality than the equine world, and it's really fun to work with all the people that are in our group and advise us. We all look at things from a different lens than what the internal equine industry would. So, which produces a different result, and people have been really excited about it. So,
I got you. Why don't you talk about that market size?
I'm going to talk about product first.
Okay, I feel like you have been, but let's keep going with that.
So,
you are on a
I'm not going to nerd out on this stuff too much, but we're bringing a lot of technologies, construction methods, producing capabilities with the factories, materials, hardware. All of it is top of the line stuff that's like super well made to stand the test of time. And we stand by our products with a lifetime warranty that we call the unbroken promise. So all of our bags are form fitted not to move around while you're riding. You can imagine galloping with 20, 30 pounds of product on, stuff that you're carrying with you. And as in Annie's illustration, that's not always a very safe thing with a 1,200-pound flight animal under you. Let's see.
Oh, okay.
So far, people have been freaking out. We've had a huge response from a lot of people in the market. It just keeps growing. We have 99% of our reviews on our website are 5 stars. We have like 1 or 2 that are 4.8.
We don't let any bad ones in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She denies all the ones.
Sorry, I feel like that's on point. I'm just kidding. We let them all in.
But no, the reaction's been really well, and we're stoked. And they love the authenticity of Annie. She's the face of the brand, and talks to the customers. They call her up while she's picking up horse poop, and they're impressed that it's a real person doing real horse things.
I'm really good at horse poop. Yeah.
So I got one more thing, and then I'll get back.
Okay.
So the economics, just to give you a quick rundown, 2022 was sort of the foundation year where we're trying to figure out what we were doing. We had a production order come in. Really excited about it. Scrambled to get a website together. Jay Jones helped us out with that. It was amazing. And but we didn't really hit our rhythm until 2023. Well, 2022, we sold $11,500 worth of product. 2023, we got into the BOW program, learned a ton. They whipped this lady into a businesswoman.
Yeah.
Yep, no more nap time.
Yeah, I was a stay-at-home mom with no children.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Yeah, they took it away. Yeah, yeah.
And then, went through BOW, met Algify, started working with them and a whole bunch of other people. And in April of 2023, we went from selling like 5 bags a month to 200 to 300 a month. So huge spike.
It's a big deal.
So.
And I box them all in our basement. It's
yeah.
super cool.
Yeah. She does customer service, sales, marketing, and order fulfillment.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
We ended the year last year in 8 months with a little over 200,000 in sales, which was super fun. And I think both of us, I speak for both of us, we learned so much and we have like a really solid foundation down now. Like all the different marketing channels, all that stuff is sort of there now. And we're really excited about 2024 to really start to grow this thing.
Yes.
Yes. You want me to keep moving on?
No, I'm going to cut you off.
Oh,
'cause I
get
feel
cut
like
off.
the timer is
Last
going.
thing, market size.
Oh my God, we
there
always
are
get cut off. Yeah.
19.5 million horses in the U.S., North America, sorry, and roughly 5 million active riders in the U.S. So we barely scratched the surface, and we're excited to continually bring new product to them.
Yes.
Over to you.
Okay. And that's very well. And basically, the equianthropy side, which I made up when we were having a happy hour one night, was there is this whole attitude around horses, and it's not everyone, but that horses are disposable. When they can't run fast enough, jump high enough, or they grow old, they become disposable. And I would love to change that. And I cannot change that without a platform. You cannot just walk into the horse industry and be like, hey, y'all, don't get rid of your horse. It's true though. We jump them and jump them and jump them and jump them, and then when their stifles or their hocks give out, we get rid of them. And who wants your really expensive horse to feed, and you can't ride it, and it's a really expensive lawn ornament. So there's a part of me that we can support rescues all day long, but there's always going to be all those horses to rescue. So if you could change the mentality behind that, it would be epic. So that's one of our big goals. That's the equianthropy. And then we've been super stoked and blessed to live all across the United States. So I've learned from all these different people. And my biggest thing that we'll leave you with tonight is you can always change your opinion based on new information. I mean, I used to tell people, they'd be like, well, Annie, you had your horses in stalls. Annie, you did this. And I'm like, yeah, but I learned this, so I changed this. And that's important. And then we're supposed to ask you for an ask. So we would love donations, anonymous, whatever. We are broke still. I swear to God, I understand how you can make $200,000 and I still don't have a paycheck. So we do direct-to-consumer PO financing or donations. So, and that's it. So yeah, we're good.
Well done.
Hook. Yeah.
Well
Thank
done.
you.
Thank you.
You guys, this was awesome. Yeah, I just have one question because you're making me want to get a horse. I live in a townhouse. It's not going to work. I'm just like, would that little backpack work for my English Cocker Spaniels? Maybe. We could adapt it. Okay, great.
We have a burner. You can put it on a burner.
And I wonder if you should change the name to Rich Supply Company. Maybe something like that.
One day it won't be broke.
Thanks so much. How about a round of applause for these two?
Thank you guys.
Awesome. Yeah, you guys are a good time. That was nice. It was therapeutic, really. I mean, that was nice. Thanks, Annie and Ryan. So much fun. Okay, our next company pitch is sponsored by Sensiba San Filippo. Business activities in Portland or Multnomah County. Stay proactive with our state and local tax team, ready to assist you with the latest tax updates. Learn more at sensiba.com. Tonight, we will hear from James Nicol, co-founder, SnoPlanks, and Todd, Laurence, business instructor, OSU-Cascades, to discuss all the latest at SnoPlanks Academy. SnoPlanks a 2015 early stage winner of Ben Venture Conference, is a snowboard company known for its sustainable, high-performance powder boards. Founders James Nicol and Ryan Holmes have generously donated the company to OSU-Cascades, creating a unique platform for hands-on learning and business management experience. SnoPlanks Academy will integrate the leadership and management of the snowboard company into the students' academic experiences, providing them with real-world experience that employers are looking for. Please welcome to the PubTalk stage, Todd and James. Hi, Todd.
Hello there, Shannon.
How you doing?
I am fine. And while we're waiting for James, I'm just going to say, don't expect us to match the eloquence of the previous presenters. Annie, the phrase, beautiful buckskin Tennessee Walker is going to stick with me all night long. It was beautiful. Gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How's everybody doing?
Shannon, how much time do we have?
We
A
can
couple
share.
hours, minutes, sorry about that. Yeah. The most important things, yes.
Perfect. So we haven't rehearsed this, but I'm going to suggest that in the time we're up on stage, we cover three things.
Okay.
Gratitude, the genesis, a little bit of history, and where we go from here. You guys agree?
I like it.
May I start with gratitude?
Yeah, of course.
So, I'm Todd Laurence. I'm an instructor at the OSU-Cascades Business School, and of course you know James Nicol, Ryan Holmes, the two co-founders of SnoPlanks.
James, thank you.
You just heard a little bit of the story, but I just want to start by expressing on behalf of so many people at OSU-Cascades and part of this community, I just want to say thank you to you guys. Thank you to the two of you for an amazing gift. And there's a lot of people in this room that had something to do with that. So it's not only thank you to the SnoPlanks co-founders and all the people that have been a part of your business, but thank you to EDCO. You heard that they got a big launch when they won BVC many years ago. Thank you to Bend Outdoor Works, who's been instrumental in all of their success and their growth trajectory. Thank you to OSU Cascades. Thank you to OSU College of Business over in Corvallis, because they were crazy enough to follow the lead of the three of us as we figured this out. And before we get started and I hand over the microphone, can I just ask all the students from OSU Cascades who are here tonight, because there's a lot of you, to just stand up for a moment, or at least raise your hand so everyone can recognize. So I wanted to do that because these and many of their peers back at school, you guys can sit down now. These students and their peers back at OSU Cascades are the beneficiaries of the tremendous gratitude that the two of you, and really this whole community, already has shown to OSU Cascades and will continue to show as we take this crazy project to the next level. So thank you guys very much.
It is a pub talk. We got a cheers after all, right? Well, I mean, I don't really know what to say except thank you to this community for 10 years of incredible opportunities and memories and excitement and innovation and everything that we have been able to do with SnoPlanks as a brand. You know, I was talking with Ryan the other night about just everything that we've experienced over the last 10 years, and I think one of the greatest things we've drawn is relationships and friendships and collaborations and dynamic moments that the brand brought to us, and that was only because of this community. So thank you to everyone here, and thank you to everyone who supported us through that 10 years. And now we got some work to do because we're on a new path. And, you know, change is good. Change is the only constant in life. And it brings about a lot of dynamic, amazing opportunity. I think change is good for education, change is good for companies, change is good for human beings. And handing this off to a group of students and faculty and hungry individuals that want to take the brand to the next level is the greatest gift that could ever have been given to us. And so to watch this unfold with OSU-Cascades is going to be about as dynamic as it gets. And I'm really stoked for everyone to be along for that ride.
It's been amazing to see just the outpouring of support when this was all announced, because there was a lot that went into the process to get it where it is today. And I think it's pure validation that this was the right move for our company. It was the right move for James and I. It was obviously the right move for Oregon State Cascades in terms of their experiential focus and innovative approach to the way that they're teaching their students and giving them experiences that they need to better themselves and prepare for their professional careers. I remember, I can't remember how many years ago, but the last time James and I were on a stage at PubTalk was Ben Venture Conference. And I remember Gary Braceland, and I saw Eric here, but the Bend Outdoor Works crew convinced us to go into the Ben Venture Conference and present. And James and I were a little perplexed. We were like, isn't that a tech conference? Isn't it a bunch of tech companies and a bunch of VCs that want to hear about tech companies? But we got a chance to get in front of a community that believed in us, and a community that we got to introduce ourselves to, and a community that has been overwhelmingly supportive to each and every step as a company along this adventure. And we couldn't have done it without this community, and I challenged this community to push Oregon State and push the students and support them and give them all the resources and talent and experience and wisdom they need to be successful with this endeavor. Because it's going to be a fun transition, but this has always been a community-driven company, and it will continue to be a community-driven company, and we're excited to be able to keep it here local and allow Central Oregon to take it to the next level. So thank you guys. Appreciate all of your support. I've told people many times, if you want to start a business, come to Bend, Oregon, because the rising tide raises all ships. It doesn't matter if you're a competitor, doesn't matter if what you're building, this community will support you to the nth degree. And you guys have given that to us, and we thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Should we do just a little bit of Q&A? Do you want to just make a tiny bit? I'm not a big lady, but okay. So how is it different once you're like the transition happens, and what's different for you guys? How does it work now?
Well, I mean, we're basically going to be handing the reins over to the college, the student body, the program that's being developed around SnoPlanks Academy, and how that is going to unfold is, I think, still in process, and we're definitely developing. Todd has already developed a very good playbook and timeline for how things are going to be laid out, but we are not going to be building snowboards and skis at SnoPlanks moving forward. We are going to be handing that responsibility and that opportunity over to OSU-Cascades for the students to take and run with 100%.
I mean, this is just so beautiful, and I have to say, I think we should do the same thing with the government. Just hand it over to the students. I feel like you're really onto something here. It's time. Any questions from the audience for these three? Yes, Kurt. What's next for the founders?
The next, well, James and I have been fortunate to, develop very successful careers in other places as we've built out SnoPlanks. I'm actually in the process, a year into starting a new tech company. Dan Hoban, who has shared this stage, he and I are co-founders in a brand new climate tech company focused in multifamily. And so that is, as a CEO of a new climate tech company, head down doing that.
Cool. So we'll see you on this stage again then. How about for you?
I am a CEO of a beverage automation company, and we actually exited last year. And so I'm working alongside new ownership to continue to build the brand and be a part of the brand moving forward. But that's taken a lot of focus at this juncture.
Yeah, sounds like it. Okay, and Todd, you're just rolling on by with the students and doing, it's amazing. It's incredible. Has this been like, did you see this coming when you took this role on?
I was hoping we could get a little bit of the founding story because, no, it took me completely by surprise. I mean, there are two students in the audience, Cam and Beverly, who are actually the reason that James and I originally got connected. And he was one of the first guest speakers in one of my first entrepreneurship classes. And as a result of the students hearing the SnoPlanks story and all of the positive energy, and Ryan's been a guest lecturer in my other, one of my other classes, but this set the stage by giving exposure to these two gentlemen to all of the energy and the desire and the hunger and the inspiration that our student body has. So I'll let you guys then take it from there, just to tell how this idea came about.
So I can't tell you how many emails we would get, or still do get, on a weekly basis asking to come work at SnoPlanks. And not that many people work at SnoPlanks. It's not a big company. It's pretty small, okay? But there's a romance around it. A certain dynamic draw for humans that want to be a part of building something that they love, which is instruments to slide on snow. It's something as old as time, since the first person ever stepped on skis. It's a passion. People love it. And to be involved with building something that drives your passion is noble and it's valid. And so we get a lot of people asking for internships. And when I started speaking in Todd's classes, there was also a lot of feedback from the students surrounding their love of what we were doing, what we were building, where we were going with the brand. And the only thing that I could think as a next step was to go the path that we have. Because we care so deeply about the brand that we've built that to sell it and hand it off to someone and let them run with it, it didn't sit well. And it didn't seem like the right path. And we know that the love that is there, that exists from these young people who want to come in and want to help and want to drive the brand forward, that will be ever standing. That will exist for the longevity of the school and the bricks that built that school. New people will come in with new ideas, and then they'll move on. But that brand will exist, and that's a legacy.
Yeah, this is the result of high-level collaboration and prioritizing creative thinking, yeah? And this is so beautiful and really impressive. Do we have time for one more? No. Okay, sorry, guys. I did try. Thank you so much. Yeah, you guys are amazing. Ryan, James, and Todd, thank you. Really, really nice. Thank you all for being here. So it's time to give a shout out to our new EDCO members. Welcome, members. I know we have several of you here, so I don't know if you're all in the room, but I'm looking for you. Design Management, Henneberry Eddy Architects, Inc. I think you guys are here, yes? Yep, there we are. Seven Summits Consulting, LLC. There we are, all right. Bamberger Design, LLC. Where are you guys? Right up front, love it. Central Oregon Office Interiors. I think you are also here. Welcome. Bremick Construction and Brandwin. Brandwin, where are you at? I think Brandwin is here. They might be out in the hallway. They're chatting. Bell Lab Advisors, Commercial Powder Coating, Cumming Group. Welcome to the EDCO team. As you can see, EDCO is doing amazing things for Central Oregon businesses, like hosting monthly pub talks. Is this not great? This is pretty great. So there are QR codes on the tables throughout Worthy where you can easily sign up to become an EDCO member or reach out to Team EDCO to learn more. We'd love to hear from you. Now, on to the keynote presentation, sponsored by BBSI. When you choose to partner with BBSI, you align your business with a local team of professionals that are invested in the overall health of your business, combining our foundation of business strategy, human resources, payroll services, plus risk and safety. We can help Central Oregon small to medium-sized businesses overcome challenges, reduce costs, and grow revenue. We pride ourselves with an over 90% client retention rate. We're local and we know Central Oregon business. bbsi.com/bend. Connect with Chris Piper, BBSI Central Oregon's area manager. You should see him around in the crowd somewhere. Chris, are you in the room? Okay, we'll find him out in the hallway. And also COCC, Central Oregon Community College, recently launched the Center for Business, Industry, and Professional Development. This center houses all of the college's non-credit workforce training offerings. In partnership with organizations like EDCO, COCC's center is an important physical and virtual resource for upskilling professionals, customizing trainings, and supporting local businesses. This month, COCC is thrilled to welcome John Graham as the center's new executive director. And John is also here with us tonight, and we hope you'll take a moment to introduce yourself to him, congratulate him on his new role in workforce development at COCC. John, are you actually in the room? Yes, there you are. I was looking down and you should. Thanks, John. Glad you're here. Now, on to our amazing panel of outdoor industry leaders discussing lessons they've learned to how to stay ahead of market shifts and their experiences building company cultures that attract and retain talent in today's dynamic market. Please welcome to the PubTalk stage John Evans, former President Keene, Russ Hopcus, former President prAna, and Ellen Sheedy, head of legal, America's On. And our moderator is going to be John Evans. So put your hands together for these three. Yeah. Yes.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Good evening. We're good.
Okay.
We're
Can you all hear us? Okay,
Yeah.
good. Well, thanks so much for being here, everyone. We're really excited to get started with this panel. My name is Ellen Sheedy, and we have Russ Hopcus and John Evans. We all are outdoor industry people. I started my career at Perkins and worked with emerging companies there, did public company securities work, as well as mergers and acquisitions. Then spent 9 years at Keene in the legal department, working across the business. Everything from IP to contracts, employment law matters, marketing, ESG. And then I recently joined the legal team at On. And I moved to Central Oregon in 2020, probably for a lot of the same reasons that brought all of you here. Love the outdoors, love mountain biking, trail running, cross-country skiing. And it's a great place to have a family. And now Russ and John will each introduce themselves a little bit, and then John's prepared some background info and context on the last several years in the outdoor industry. Then we have some questions. And we'd love to have some audience participation. So as we talk, please feel free to jump in at any point, ask us questions. We want to talk about what you want to hear about. Take it away, Russ.
Yeah, great. Yeah, no such thing as interruptions. So just talk whenever you just raise your hand or just blurt it out. That's fine. As Ellen said, I'm Russ Hopcus. I've been in this industry for the outdoor and athletic industry for honestly almost my entire life. Probably 40 years, I guess, something like that. I guess my biggest career accomplishment was being able to navigate Portland through Nike, Adidas, Columbia, Keen, and then most recently I've run a brand called prAna, if you know prAna Apparel, based out of Southern California. So I was the president there for 4 years. And then like Ellen and others, it was kind of a planned accident. We loved Ben. We lived in Portland for a number of years, always came down here, and we had a house here. And like COVID babies, I was a COVID transplant. So we hightailed, packed up our truck and headed up to our house and decided after about a year, somebody needed to go back down and run the business, and it wasn't going to be me. So I wanted to stay here. So I've quote unquote, I hate to even use the word retired, but I kind of retired. And I've spent my time now advising and consulting with companies that are either in the outdoor industry or adjacent to. And adjacency would be Uni Pizza Ovens. I've got to pitch Uni Pizza. Anybody has an Uni Pizza Oven? I'm doing some work with them right now. So anyways, I'm excited to be here. First time I've been at this event, and super excited to impart whatever knowledge, or at least be able to learn from you all as well. So thanks.
Awesome. Well, good evening, everybody. It's great to be here with you all. As Russ and Ellen have said, we're members of the outdoor industry. We've kind of grown up in certain ways in different parts of it. For me, it's an interesting time in my life. I have a 2.5-year-old and a 9-month-old, and so, my time in Central Oregon has been kind of round two for me. Actually, I came here when I was a 5-year-old. My parents brought me up from Southern California, and I lived here until I was about 12, and then I moved to a city that seemed very familiar in name, but very different in context. It was called South Bend, Indiana, and anybody that tries to convince you that South Bend and Bend are the same, I'll be happy to vouch for you that they're a liar. So a lot of great things about South Bend, but very happy to be back for my second stint in Bend. We came here in 2021 and have been very happy to be back. Most recently, I was president of Keen. I left Keen in September, but was with them for about 9 years and really enjoyed my time in the outdoor industry. And my background actually is in the technology and software space. So footwear, you may ask, as we continue this conversation, seems a bit odd to find your way into and ultimately run a footwear company, but it all made sense in some weird way as time went on. So anyway, we're so pleased to be with you tonight, and I'm going to start with a little bit of a trip down memory lane. It might not be, for everybody the most positive memory, but it feels like going back to 2020 and starting there is really important to get some context about what the outdoor and even activewear industries like Russ has been through at prAna have lived through in the last 3 years, and kind of where are we today and where are we going, more importantly. So if we kind of reorient ourselves back to 2020, we, let's say we're in March of 2020. We all were instructed we had to stay home, right? Life was completely flipped on its head, and that shelter-in-place order basically changed everything about our lives, from where we worked and how we worked to just, how we just went about living in society across the world, right? And so I think it's important context because what happened at that time was a complete shift in the way in which people experienced, the outdoors, right? It was what ultimately became a tailwind for the outdoor industry. At first, very much felt like it was a complete, an utter disaster that we had to navigate through. We just were frankly worried about how to keep our employees safe, how to keep our own families safe. And for most outdoor companies, especially in the outdoor footwear industry and apparel industries, there was a lot of conservatism at that point in time, as you can all imagine, right? People were worried about what the outlook might be for their businesses and just how we were going to take care of one another. So what happened was many of those branded manufacturers significantly pulled back their expectations for the 2020 calendar year. And they cut their orders with factories. They told their retailers we're not going to be in stock. They expected the worst to happen. And what ultimately that happened next was quite surprising. Maybe in hindsight it shouldn't have been, but people found the outdoors as a sanctuary. It became the place where we could all get together and get to know our neighbors again, get to know our families in a deeper way. I know for me personally, the outdoors was a connection and a way of connecting with people that I just didn't have in my daily life that I was really missing. And so, I think at that moment in time, brands started to realize, wait a second, this is actually something that we should look at as an advantage, right? We got to find the silver lining in difficult times. And they said, wait a second, we shouldn't cut all of those factory orders anymore. We need to add more orders to our factories because people are excited to be outside walking again, hiking again, getting on bikes and being out in the world because that's the safe thing to be able to do. Well, what happened in the background is the supply chain went through a complete upheaval, right? The bullwhip effect, for those of you who live in the supply chain world, was in classic form, right? Orders were cut, demand was down, surging expectations for new orders started to occur, and they just couldn't keep up with demand, right? You started to see in the news that people were paying over $20,000 a container to ship goods from Asia to the United States. In normal times, that's $1,500, maybe $2,000 at most. And so there was just huge swings in how the supply chain was correcting itself, trying to figure out how to approach that. And the reality was that most of these manufacturers were going through their own challenges. They were in countries where there were stay-at-home orders being mandated to them as well. So as fast as they were getting orders, they were being told, you can't show up, you can't produce, you can't ship. And it just exacerbated what became a very difficult challenge for companies to be able to bring inventory in and satisfy the demand for people to get outdoors again. If you put yourself in the customer's point of view, right, they're saying to themselves, okay, well, I used to go out and spend money at restaurants and go on trips and be able to go to events, go to Hayden Amphitheater and enjoy music. And it just wasn't possible. And so there was this huge concentration of spending that started to happen through e-commerce and through digital channels, very focused on things that were safe and possible for people to do. And so that, along with this kind of demand for just being in a safe space outdoors, really fueled a massive growth perspective for this industry and for many industries as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about, what happened after that and what companies are learning from this experience. But you can imagine that as that situation started to normalize, you also started to have the reversing effect of that, right? Companies started to build their forecasts on these over-exuberant expectations that growth was going to continue. You had the government giving free stimulus to people to buy stuff. People weren't spending money on things that they normally did before. So this over-concentration of spending was happening in certain spaces, and it wasn't something that was going to last forever. So as that started to unwind, right, we got through the third wave of the pandemic, we started to see that people were able to get back out in the world again, people started to travel, they started to experience life again. Well, their demand for things started to change. Services, entertainment, enjoyment, they started to expand. And so I think the outdoor industry went through this massive growth spurt and then this recognition, and not every company, but this great recognition that, okay, there's a normalization that has to occur on the other side of this. And so you started to see a similar supply chain challenge start to occur. This kind of forecasting toward growth forever turned into there's a reality check here. We have to be planning for a return back to some semblance of normalcy again. And so in 2022, as we started to see the combination of geopolitical challenges with the Ukraine war, the end of stimulus programs occurring, the opening up of people being able to get back out in the world again, and this kind of returning back to some semblance of normal, we started to realize that, okay, maybe those expectations were very over accommodative for a different environment. So, you had that coupled with inflation, right? We started to see prices going up across the board. We started to see that life was just getting more expensive because of these supply chain challenges, increased prices, et cetera.
It is going to get better, right?
It is going to get better. I'm having a hard time just living in the darkness.
PTSD here.
Yeah. So we get through that, right? And what happens? Well, all those orders still exist in factories. People are still producing those goods, and we end up in a different problem on the supply chain side, an over-inventory situation, right? We start seeing flooding of inventory into the marketplace. We start seeing that liquidations become a big part of the strategy, right? The 2022 era was a challenging one for a lot of brands to kind of navigate through. And we get finally to 2023, as Russ is asking us to finally get to, which is, where are we and how do we get to, some semblance of normal again? And so I think what's most important is what did we learn from it, right? We went through these massive roller coasters over the last 3 years, and it brings us to this, January night in 2026, where luckily it's not as cold as it was a week ago, where we can actually use hindsight in a way that we haven't been able to for over 100 years and say a pandemic was right behind us, but what did we learn from it? What good things came from it, and what do we take from our businesses that can actually go forward? So tonight's conversation is going to be using that as a setup for what happened. Where do we go from here? What did we learn, and how do we actually set a path forward? Okay? So I'm going to ask the first question.
Any ideas?
I'm going to call on random people in the audience, so I'm looking forward to all of your suggestions. And we're all in this together, right? Every industry, every person went through this. And, if we're lucky enough to be in this room tonight, yeah, please, go ahead.
So where do you think you're taking your manufacturing? Are you pulling it back into the States? Are you staying in this continent? Mexico? Where do you find your industry taking its name?
Yeah.
And for the people out in the hall, this is a question about manufacturing, so
Yeah.
I'll let you take it.
It's a great point. You want to start?
I'll start
Yeah,
a little
go
bit,
for it.
but and footwear and apparel are going to be different based on different sourcing strategies in different countries that specialize in each of those. But I would say that a couple of things happened during that time. We in apparel were moving out of China, moving our outerwear into Vietnam, moving our wovens and knits into Sri Lanka and also into India. We have a good manufacturing base there. But as I was leaving, we were actually looking at nearshoring, and Mexico was one of those markets that we were really looking at taking advantage of. And they're investing a lot in manufacturing. They've been manufacturing product for quite some time, footwear especially, and I think Keen is pretty well embedded, I believe, in Mexico. But even in apparel, we're seeing that the nearshoring, just to try to offset a lot of these shipping challenges, because there are shipping challenges today. I mean, anybody who's taking anything through the strait is really challenged right now, not knowing if their ship's going to make it through, and insurance costs are going up. So it's not getting quite as costly as the $25,000 or $20,000 a container, but it is getting up there. So trying to get it as close to possible to the U.S. borders. I think the U.S. manufacturer is interesting, and actually I think between Ellen and John, they could probably answer that more because Keen does quite a bit of manufacturing in the U.S., specifically in Portland. But I think for apparel, it's a bit of a challenge for the reasons that we know from a cost standpoint.
Yeah, I'll just add one more point to that. The idea of moving manufacturing back to the U.S. as a, let's just talk footwear for a second. There's 24 billion pairs of shoes made every year. There's 8 billion people on this planet. We got a problem, first of all, with the number of shoes that we're making in this world that are disposable and going through on an annual basis. But the reality is that to produce 24 billion pairs of shoes, you can't just all of a sudden pick up that manufacturing footprint and relocate it into a different location. It's just not possible. So as fast as Vietnam, as fast as Mexico, as fast as India are trying to quickly, and Bangladesh as well, trying to become the new manufacturing powerhouses in lieu of China's gap that they've really, frankly, lost a lot of favor in. I think it's a process, and it's something that we all have to be working toward consciously. We're going to talk a little bit tonight about how has the consumer and this industry also taken progressive steps to really push the agenda around sustainability, around responsible manufacturing, around detoxification of the supply chain. And part of that is about your manufacturing footprint. A big part of that is about your manufacturing footprint. But it is a big challenge that will take us generations to solve. It doesn't get solved overnight. Yeah?
We're talking about she wants to know about the ethical side of how these goods are being produced. Is that the focus?
Yeah, I mean, I'll add on, and then Ellen, please feel free to add to it. So, a code of conduct and an ethics foundation is core to building a responsible manufacturing footprint, right? There are many companies today that produce part of that 24 billion pairs of footwear that don't care about a code of conduct and a detoxification strategy. I'm proud to have worked for a company where ridding the forever chemicals, PFAS, for example, was a priority years before it became mainstream to even talk about it. But the reality is that we still produce 24 billion pairs of shoes every day. So, I think the reality about the manufacturing challenges that any extractive and or virgin industry faces is how to deal with that in a way that is making progress toward some new vision for what it means to be responsible and to operate in this way. And I think there are many companies and retailers and countries as well who are setting very clear mandates about what it means to be progressive and an ally in that space.
Yeah, I think this is an area that's rapidly evolving. Obviously, there's many more laws and regulations. California, the EU is really ahead of the game. And there's lots of companies that really care, and everyone's on a journey. Everyone's trying to do the best they can, figuring out how to get there. And I see, more and more evidence in my job that consumers care. Consumers are asking questions about it. They want to know, and it's really important for companies to, walk the talk and be transparent and do what they say that they're doing and make valiant efforts towards manufacturing in a clean and more ethical way.
If I can add to that, because prAna was our key initiative was around sustainability, and just the term sustainability itself is a term that could be interpreted in many different ways, and I think we had 14 or 15 different sustainability attributes that we applied against each of our products, and our goal was to have every one of our products have at least one of those attributes, which we were able to do. But then we started focusing also on just worker welfare, and prAna was the first company in apparel to actually go down the fair trade route. And our goal was to have 100% of our product made at fair trade factories, which really, it's if you know fair trade, it's not so much on the sustainability side, but it really is on worker welfare. And the manufacturing agents, or not agents, but the manufacturers themselves, actually pitch in, and we create funds for the workers to use for their own betterment of their communities. And it's really quite an impressive program that they've been able to pioneer. Now other apparel companies are jumping down going down that road as well. So it's pretty all-encompassing, and to Ellen's point, it really is a journey. It just isn't apparel manufacturing. Manufacturing in general just isn't a clean business. So there's nothing that's 100% clean. Some people like wearing organic cotton, and that's not really that clean. Cotton in general is not clean. It's not a clean business. I'm sure a lot of you know that. So you just try to do better. And I think, John brought up a point also just in terms of consumption itself, and I think Patagonia's done a nice job in getting that word out there that you really don't have to buy a lot of product. You can repair, you can replace, you can resell, you can take your product to Rugged Thread, which I've done here in town, to repair. I mean, there's different avenues to do to go down to actually take care of your own products. We could probably have hours on sustainability and manufacturing. I do want to go back, though, John's initial point on the as I was getting PTSD on those last few years of COVID. One of the things that we've talked about is no matter the climate, no matter the business climate, there are always brands that find their way to the top. There are brands that find their way to continue to grow, to continue to take share. And in our industry, not because Ellen's here, but On Running is one of those brands that has really blossomed through COVID and continues to blossom. Although she said she can't say anything because they're publicly traded, so we can't say anything about them tonight. But they continue to do really well. Hoka has done really well. But Hoka has On has a brand. They've got an aesthetic that's completely different. And I feel somewhat revolutionary, at least evolutionary within the industry. Hoka has a cushioning technology that has really changed the running industry. They've done a great job with that. Viore, it's a really amazing brand that we used to compete against in Southern California that kicked our butts, that just found a way to really, well, they got a huge investment, but they found a way to really to promote their brand and promote a Southern California lifestyle and produce actually really beautiful product. Brooks Running, it's been in the business for a long time, and to be clear, I'm somewhat biased. My daughter works for Brooks, but they've been able to do a really great job by focusing on running and continuing to grow, certainly during COVID when it was a little bit easier, even notwithstanding the supply chain challenges, and even post-COVID. Those brands have done a really nice job by creating differentiation, focus on their core consumer. In the case of Brooks, focusing on their wholesale distribution and really giving a damn about their wholesale distribution. So they're putting things in place to really continue to drive their business and elevate their brand. So it is possible. It's hard to say there's one specific thing for every brand to do because every brand's in a different place in a different industry. One of the brands I work with, I mentioned Uni. They were one of those, like many of these companies, just hockey stick growth during 2 years, trying to find their footing, but still growing, creating a new category. That was their thing. They've created a category that didn't exist. Continue to leverage that. So it really depends. It sounds like within the horse world, you all, same thing, right? You're creating a new category that's creating energy that nobody else has thought of, that nobody else really gave it that, that energy around it. So there are opportunities to find the right space to take advantage of that and grow.
Yeah, another question back here.
To that point, out of curiosity, I mean, as part of your marketing budgets for both your companies and for other companies, what kind of ROI analysis was done on the value of selling your environmental consciousness or your fair trade work relationship?
What kind of efforts did you use in your marketing budgets to look at the ROI that would come from telling the story of being a sustainable brand?
It's a great question. I wish I could tell you we were as sophisticated as you're asking me to be in order to tell you how successful the ROI was. But I think it's because it wasn't a marketing play, right? For example, Keen many years ago decided they were going to create a group called the Keen Effect. And the Keen Effect wasn't a marketing vehicle. It was a group within the company that cared deeply about the values that Keen wanted to, kind of emanate into the marketplace. It was actually a term that we didn't even come up with. It was actually kind of bestowed to us from the Conservation Alliance, who actually said that the impact that Keen made when they joined the Conservation Alliance was a multiplier effect, and they called it the Keen Effect. And so we ran with that. We said, you know what? The Keen Effect is actually something that needs to be its own entity. It needs to have its own organization within the company who is advocating for a few different things. It advocates for how we tell stories into the marketplace about what we're doing. It advocates for the detoxification and focus on responsible manufacturing. It focuses on cleaning up our kind of impact in communities and really building, deepening relationships in the places in which Keen did business. And so, we use the Keen Effect actually as the vehicle I'll tell you, the reason why most people came to Keen and stayed at Keen for as long as they did, including myself, was because of the Keen Effect. And it is an energy source within the company that also became a tool that we could use to tell stories that became part of our marketing arsenal, if you will, to be able to communicate that externally into the marketplace. But so much of what our social responsibility and kind of sustainability efforts centered around with the Keen Effect was not because it was going to become amplified to some marketing message. It was because it was truly in alignment with what we believed as a company. So I think I do believe that marketing needs to prove itself, right? There's a fixed amount that you're going to invest in marketing every year, but the best marketing tells the story for you because people are word-of-mouth evangelists of your brand, and they just tell their friends that they experienced, a road trip that Keen went on with a yellow bus around the country to save public lands, and then they became lifelong evangelists of the brand, right? So I think it's about flipping the mindset a little bit to say it's not about this direct outcome you're trying to get. It's about how do you take the values that you believe so intrinsically to who you are as a company and as a brand and find the most authentic way to let that kind of emanate throughout the way in which you do business. Yeah.
First of all, thank you for that answer. As leaders, delivering the right product, right place, right time, right amount, right price, aligned to consumers' insights,
Okay. And then the night took a turn. So he's like, 3 holograms. So this is a question. You've got the right product at the right place, the right time, and then where do you see AI coming in to influence that?
You want me to start? No, you go ahead, Ellen.
None of us, I don't know if any of us are experts on AI. I'm definitely not an expert in AI, but from what I read, and folks I've talked to, I think around inventory management is, I think, the first place that people are going to go to. To John's point earlier, just people trying to find what the right level is today is extremely difficult. And I think that's going to be the unlock for AI in the industry. I think once you start pulling away or using it to attach to a consumer and that consumer experience, I think I'm afraid of that. I don't know enough about it, but it frightens me that you start losing the authenticity. So I see it in the background, helping manage the business. I think that could be of use.
Yeah, I think there's amazing potential for AI. I see it in the the legal arena a lot. It's great for research, for first drafts of things. I think I see designers using it for better or for worse. I'm not sure yet, but that's certainly happening. I can see it being used in the marketing space for kind of in this somewhat similar ways to legal as kind of like a first cut at something, seeing what else is out there, what can some whatever tool you use pull together, and then I think it absolutely needs a human touch in whatever sphere it's in.
I heard resume writing is a really big deal too. So.
I'll just add one more point. I use a combination of AI tools on a daily basis. I use ChatGPT, I use Midjourney, I use Rewind.ai for every meeting I sit in, and it's transformed the way I work, to be honest with you. I think anybody that's not paying attention and looking at it as a way of working differently, and frankly more smartly, is missing the plot behind what AI is. It's not here to steal your job, it's here to make you better at doing your job. So I find, for example, I used ChatGPT when I was president of Keen. I would ask questions of ChatGPT on problems that I was facing, and I would love to see the way in which it would come back with thoughts about certain things that I would do. It would be like having your own personal assistant or your own personal chief of staff to be able to bounce ideas off of and be able to use that as a way of informing your final thoughts. Now, for those that use it as a way to form your final thoughts, well, that's probably because you don't have enough domain expertise to be able to actually have a perspective on it. But, hell, it's part of getting there, right? And so I think AI is going to be a way for smart people to find shortcuts to be able to become far more domain experts in many different broad topics, in the same way in which I started my career in consulting, and it basically was a machine gun of different environments and different experiences. In the same way that AI can bring that same lessons to the table. Something like Rewind.ai, I would tell anybody in this room to download. It can sit there, transcribe your notes in your meetings, help you go back in time, look at the conversations you were having. And it's super valuable when you're trying to, context switch on a daily basis. Yeah, we can keep going.
In the back. Let's forget about AI for a minute. Have you considered the possibilities with blockchain internally? Okay, now we're taking another turn.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's start with Starbucks, right? I mean, if you look at how Starbucks has built their loyalty program, which has now moved into Odyssey and become, the de facto model for how to build a brand in kind of the NFT and blockchain space, I think there's a lot to be learned from it. Nike is chasing that pathway right now, and they're doing incredible things in that same space. I think I think most great technologies go through a great start-stop type of environment and a roller coaster until they get to some sort of mass market adoption, right? And so blockchain technology has so many different, a myriad of different ways in which it can be explored and utilized within companies, from supply chain, open ledger technologies to, NFT minting and ways in which brands can create unique experiences for very targeted audiences that want to engage much more deeply. So I think we should all expect that blockchain is going to be a technology that brands will embrace, and the best brands are already putting significant investments into that space.
Yes.
First, John, thank you for
Thank you for mentioning Conservation Alliance.
Protecting wild places, Connor, and I would love to talk to you about membership. But my question is,
It's a great organization.
my question is, prAna started as a direct-to-consumer brand, had some direct-to-consumer internet business in stores. All three of your brands sell direct-to-consumer and sell wholesale. What's the percentage that should be?
So this is. So he wants to know what's kind of the sweet spot for balancing direct to consumer and wholesale.
I think it's a great question. I think there are a lot of companies that are trying to figure it out. So those direct-to-consumer brands today that are venturing into wholesale, like an Allbirds is a really good example of decent-sized direct-to-consumer business that realize that, wow, we need storefronts to help us out. I don't know what the right mix. I think it really depends on the company itself, Joe, but we were roughly around 45 direct-to-consumer, and 55 wholesale at the end. And that felt like a really good mix. We felt like we really needed retailers to be able to actually tell our brand story, to get our brand out there. It was actually a great communication tool for us. We needed the feedback from our retailers, so it really helped us in many ways. By the same token, on our direct-to-consumer business, which at the time was 7 stores and online, and our e-com business by far dwarfed the 7 stores. And we learned a lot from our consumers through e-com as well, and it was just a really good, healthy balance. There's no place you can tell your brand story at wholesale other than your own doors or your own site. A retailer will never give you the square footage. You'll never be profitable enough, and you've really got to be very careful. At the same time, I believe brands need wholesale, the right wholesale dealers that can at least partially tell your story in an authentic way. So I think the percentage is really difficult to get to. Every brand's going to be a little bit different, but I think it's a good, healthy blend of both. I think they need each other, especially now. We've seen as people started coming back and shopping in stores, it's become a necessity for these brands that they're starting to wake up and realize it.
I'll add to it. I'm the guy that started his career in the e-commerce space, and so naturally you would assume I would be telling you 100% direct to consumer. I think the reality is I've evolved my own thinking as time has gone on as well. And I kind of think of it in 3 major buckets. I think of it as the kind of e-commerce and retail channel that you own outright, the wholesale channel that you partner and work with your wholesale vendors, and then this gray area called the marketplaces channel that is frankly taking over the world. And all 3 of them are incredibly important for you to orchestrate in a way that makes your customer, or at Keen we call them the fan, feel like you care about them equally no matter which one they decide to do business in. And so what that right mix is between DTC versus wholesale versus marketplaces is really about how do you create the most exceptional experience and tear down your internal silos within your company that are frankly creating operational challenges to deliver a consistent experience, and creating a consumer-facing experience that is consistent and allows them to choose where they want to engage with your brand no matter where it is. So I actually, I'll be honest with you, as Keen's business continued to evolve, we actually, as the pandemic started to wane, we pulled down some of our expectations about what we expected our own DTC channels to contribute because it was unhealthy for the brand and unhealthy for the fan experience as we went forward. So, I think that's the privilege of a private company. That's the privilege of public companies haven't been able to really tell that same story. But we did that because we believe we would deliver the most exceptional fan experience if we removed artificial incentives that would be driving us to take behaviors that would be out of alignment with their needs. So I think that's the way to frame the new mindset.
I do think if you think about over the time that John and I were both at Keen, the business changed so much and that mix changed so much, and that's probably the answer is it will continuously evolve. It won't be static, and there'll be times like the pandemic where you lean more heavily into e-com or the marketplace channels, and then other moments like now where it seems really important to lean into retail and even into marketing that's outside of the digital channel.
Yes.
Where is the industry in designing for men versus designing for women?
I love this question.
I see versus because as a consumer, who's female, feels like kind of a battle.
So this is a question about designing for female versus male in the outdoor industry. What's the status of that? How is that evolving?
Yeah, I can start, or do you want to start? Go ahead. Okay. I think, look, the outdoor industry has been a white guy's industry for far too long, right? I mean, it just has been. And access and inclusion is a topic that is percolating across every outdoor company, and it frankly hasn't gotten as much traction, frankly, as it needs to in order to get to where it needs to go. I think the outdoor industry is more aware of the challenges about the lack of inclusivity because the population is changing around them, right? We see this constant evolution of the census telling us that we need to wake up and recognize that the population doesn't look like it did 100 years ago, and yet some industries are still, frankly, operating in a mindset that was approachable 50 to 100 years ago. So I think we saw in the last 3 years a massive recognition of that, a waking up, if you will, in many ways to not only product design and development needs that are necessary here, fit needs. We started, Keen was a good example of a company who decided to create, we called it genderful fits, to allow for every product to be sold and be very approachable, whether it was a men's and women's sizing. But color is another example of an area where there is gender bias that gets baked into every color design decision that happens. And so I think the industry is far more aware of the problem, far more conscious of the problem than it ever has been. There are great advocacy groups that are making this very visible through data and through ways in which we can use this to make more informed decisions. But we still got a long way to go. This is still an industry that is, gendered, is highly, still a lacking of access and inclusivity that it needs to get to.
And I will say that all the big outdoor companies want the female consumer. I mean, the amount of times that I've heard lead with her, and everyone wants to try to get there. It's just taking a while.
Yeah, I can say from the apparel standpoint and specific to prAna, I mean, all of our women's product were built on women's blocks. We focused a lot on women's sizing and different color palettes, and men's was, of course, different sizing and color palettes as well. So I thought we were doing actually a fairly decent job on fit. We had some certain issues with certain products, but for the most part, if you just split it in gender profiles, I felt we did a decent job. But the pressure became toward the end, and might still be going on, I really don't know, but we started getting actually pressure for more gender neutral product. And for people that didn't want to identify as male or identify as female, to have a product that stood for themselves, for them. So that was a conversation that we were beginning to have. And on top of that, and I'll plug for a board that I sit on for Camber, which is Camber Outdoors, which is we're focused on creating greater diversity, equity, inclusion in the outdoor industry, focused on the workplace. But within the construct of DEI, to John's point, it's a bunch of white men or white women that are designing it. So the experiences that we're all drawing from, or that the design teams are drawing from, are really their own experiences. So there's a real need to expand that design world to bring in different influences from other cultures, other experiences, to design more relevant product and a variety of that relevant product. So it's an interesting, complex, probably evolutionary time right now with respect to product design, aside from fit. Hopefully fit, the industry is getting down fairly well, I hope. Now, whether they find the right color, it might be a little bit different.
I have a question about fit because I don't know that what we're using, this like standard sizing, is actually really working. Like one size is a little snug in the tummy and one size is a little too big in the shoulders. What about building sizing on frame size and then body type? Is anyone talking about this? Yeah. Same number of SKUs.
Yeah, we used blocks that were based off body types that we would build products. Now, the complexity comes in when you're using different fabrication, different stitches. As a designer, it becomes a little bit more trickier to make sure you're managing that and managing the tolerances in each of those products. So it does become a little bit more challenging based on the fabric that you're using. And we've all purchased probably some of the product that I'm wearing now. I can buy the same pair of pants from Huckberry and in the same size, and they're going to be a little off based on that day, that manufacturer, and the tolerances that are in that particular product.
Right, which is a bummer. Yeah.
I think there are some good examples, though. Outdoor Research, is a good example of a brand that, came out with an extended sizing range, especially for women, designed by women, and I think it's a good example of progress that's happening. I think REI has been a retailer that's really been one of the more progressive in terms of pushing their brands to start to think more broadly and expand their mindset about what they expect going into selling into them as a retailer. And so I think the industry is absolutely in this kind of transition, but it will take time to, to truly embrace what it means to kind of represent the population as it looks today, and it just doesn't yet.
Yes, Yellow Jacket. So this is a complex question. I love this. Thank you. So how are we reconciling growing a brand and being really conscious about what we're putting out there and the gross waste that's happening? And so what's the conversation evolving for you all?
Want me to start, or do you want to start?
I'll start. I think all brands are grappling with this, right? Or all brands that are thinking and trying to do the right thing are grappling with this. I think they're many different approaches to handling it, whether it's thinking about recycling or take back or circularity programs, whether it's, in the case of Keen, there's a real emphasis on durability and building something that'll last for a long time. I don't think anyone has, as far as I know, no one has really solved the problem or found the solution, but it's some sort of combination of what do we do with this material at the end of its life, or how do we make these things last longer?
Yeah, I would say we talked a little bit about this in terms of sustainability, but if you're asking questions around growth, I think the truth of the matter is every company's trying to grow. I don't know that anybody's trying to pull back based on what they might see as an altruistic goal of putting less out there. I think people are making the assumption that they're going to compete and the consumer will choose, and by that means settle. And all they can do is control what they can control, and that is through the efforts that we've talked about around sustainability and the programs that Ellen had just mentioned as well. But I don't know of any companies that are holding back growth because of that and taking full responsibility, because if they don't, somebody else will. And we used to always say at prAna, we want to grow for the sake of goodness, not for the sake of just growing. And we called it quality growth. We figured that every piece that we would sell would be one less piece of a competitor that wasn't doing the things that we were doing to protect the environment, to do less harm on the environment.
Yeah, this is a tough one, Michael. This is a tough question, and I'm appreciating you asking this question. I think, at the end of the day, there are a couple of good examples. Patagonia has shown us one playbook that I think is important, and it's about building, this multi-life expectation into your product offering, right? The idea of when something wears out and starts to become end of life, that it can get regenerated and go through to its next natural repair into a second use, right? I think we have to get back to some of the basics of, what we learned in second and third grade, that you need to reduce and reuse before you recycle, right? And so the idea about having less things that are going to last longer and finding a way to repair them and to reuse them for a second life or a third life is actually one of the most critical steps to being able to accomplish what you're talking about. Now, those can be successful business models for companies that are thinking progressively. A repair doesn't have to be a free process, right? Adding a second life into a jacket to let it allow it to last 30, 40 years doesn't mean you only get to charge once for that product. But you have to help bring the consumer along that journey and help them start to realize that these kinds of value-added services are how we start to deal with the extractive nature of manufacturing and capitalism as it's been built. And those are pretty intrinsic to the world that we live in today. So I think there are seeds of examples that we can draw from, but we have to keep pushing that forward, and it's not core to how people think.
I think this is such a really, thank you for all of that. I think this is a really nice time to start to wrap us up a little bit, and I'm wondering if any of you have like anything that we didn't get to that you really want to share with this audience tonight.
If I could make another plug for Camber, but I don't mean it for Camber's sake. This room in this town is full of a lot of like people. We like the outdoors, but we also look a lot alike. We think a lot alike, and if the industry stays looking like us with our shared experiences, the industry is not going to move forward. We have a growing customer base, people of color, people that come from marginalized communities that are participating in the outdoors. Our country's changing, but the outdoor industry is yet to really fully embrace it and change. And if it's Camber and other organizations, there are plenty of organizations that are really working hard to provide access to people, but the industry is not keeping up. It takes a real concerted effort. This isn't about cutting a check and letting somebody else do the work. All of us, and I can speak for all of us straight white males, we're the ones that really have to get behind it and commit ourselves to it and do something about it. So that's the thing for this industry. Anybody starting a business, running a business, consulting other businesses, I would just ask that everybody can reach out to their founders, their leadership team to start creating greater diversity. I think the industry's done I don't want to give a scorecard, but a better job at gender equity, but it goes to a certain point. You get to a director level, decent gender equity. You get to the boardroom, no gender equity. And then think of other people of color. Think of the LGBTQ plus community. There are other marginalized communities that really aren't given the opportunity that I'll speak for myself as a very, very privileged white male that never had to deal with anything that a woman has to. I believe I'm a father of 2 daughters, working daughters. One of them happens to be gay. I lived through their experiences, and this industry really needs to commit to that. So I can go on and on. I'm obviously passionate about it. The industry really needs to change, and I hope that I know that I'm very proud of the work that Camber's doing, and I hope that we can get others to take part in that.
Well, thanks, Russ. And the bottom, yeah. And what's really wild is the data shows it's what's best for the bottom line. So if none of the other stuff works, you can just stick them with that, right? Okay, yes.
Do you have something you want to add?
Just going to say +1 to what Russ said. Let's end on that.
Camber's a phenomenal organization. I've benefited greatly from learning from them. So I have one last thing, and this is more of a Bend-specific comment. Bend is an incredible place that I think most of us call home, or at least the greater Central Oregon area. And for those of us who have been in the area or come back and forth from the area for a long period of time, it goes through pretty whipsawed economic cycles as good times happen and bad times happen. And there has been a huge insurgence of great talent that has come into this community in the last 3 years that is all now facing down conversations with their companies about whether or not they're going to be asked to move back to wherever they came from. And this whole return to office conversation is just starting, right? It may feel like it's heated up and it's at, peak enthusiasm right now, but it's just starting. And so whoever's running a company in town, whoever is building a startup in town, there's never been probably a better moment in time where you've had access to a greater talent pool that lives here locally than you do today. So take advantage of that. Don't let the moment pass you, because even January 4th, Nike called all of their employees back for 4 days a week, right? Think of all the people who are now struggling to figure out how they're going to live in Bend for the long haul. So this is a unique moment that we're either going to lose a whole bunch of people again from the Bend community that we've lost before, or you're going to figure out how to give them great jobs to stay here and make this life that they've all chosen to be sustainable. So
Thanks, John. Yeah, it's huge. All right. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you, Russ. Thank you, John. This was wonderful. Thank you. And I just have a couple quick things for you all, so don't put on your jackets and leave me just yet. Please join us for our upcoming events. In 2 weeks, we have a sold-out annual luncheon. This is on February 8th. The next PubTalk will be right back here on February 22nd. You'll then head over to Prineville on March 4th for their annual luncheon, plus so much more. So head to edcoinfo.com for all the upcoming events. Thanks for coming. Watch out. It's pothole season. Keep your eyes on the road. I'll see you next month. Thanks, you guys.